A quick interjection also, when we go into VR, typically it's in spurts. We don't spend the whole day in there. It'll be like an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time. And when we are producing events, we also remind people to unplug and go and take care of their physical bodies. And that's being responsible when we're producing these events. It's something that we try to remain very mindful of.
Although if you're world building, you might find yourself in there quite a long
if you're
period
working
of time.
in it.
Yeah, if you're working in it, you might spend a few more than 2 hours in it.
But to what Celeste mentioned, I really enjoy in VR, there's an app called Trip that's meditation that's really, really calming and beautiful. I like that one a lot.
Yep.
They have a new AI. Have you played with it? Kokua?
I have.
Yeah, it's really
It's
great.
on the mobile, right? Mobile app.
Yeah, it's a mobile app, Kokua.
I fed into Kokua the idea of metamorphosis, and it gave me back this beautiful response. I thought it was just perfect. So.
Cool,
Yes.
cool. Well, we're going to wind it down. Thank you, panelists, and thank you for your attention.
One
more question. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Hello. So I want to thank all of you for being digital pioneers. I've actually met some of you before. I'm Michael DiMartino from Earthstock Foundation, and I have a couple quick questions. We do have our own immersive virtual reality world, and we're setting up academies, educational centers, and content. So I definitely would like to connect with you, but I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I have a very serious question. And, this is definitely the Wild West of creativity. Very innovative, very dynamic, very sexy, and as we can see, very, very effective. And I've been to Wisdom, and I know about Vortex Domes through Alan Tratner, one of my colleagues. But what I wanted to ask is, we're becoming more aware of the amount of resources, and I did see the solutions about having things virtual, then over-propagating landfills and manufacturing, which of course is a serious problem, microplastics and environmental toxins. But the question I had is there any plan or any legislation that any of you are involved in because of the amount of energy and resource draw? I saw a recent documentary just about one of the quantum computers that Elon Musk is using. And as a person who's involved in sustainability and the regenerative field, I have to say I have a deep concern about these quantum computing centers being put in places that have optimal drinking water, being put in locations that have huge energy draws. And as we roll out this technology, more and more there's this kind of succubus of resource that's needed from the natural world. So again, I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but I'm really interested in how we balance the innovation and this whole potentiality with what's happening in real time. And like you said, where we don't end up in the matrix on a power cable and everybody's in a pod and
right. It's a huge issue, actually, although it applies more to AI than XR. XR is user interface. You might be using a headset, which is sort of like a cell phone, basically, strapped to your face, right? Whereas with AI, and this is something you should know, when you do an AI query, ChatGPT or whatever, it takes approximately 10 times the power consumption than a Google search, right? So maybe think twice before using the AI if it's something Google can handle. But anybody else?
And you mentioned quantum computing. So quantum computing is definitely the future, and we're headed in that direction. Quantum computing outputs a massive amount of heat, and that means that it needs a massive amount of air conditioning to keep it cool. And so I don't have a solution for that yet, but I have had some deep conversations with people that are developing in quantum. And one of the things I asked them is, why can't you take that massive heat that's generated by quantum computing and use that to power the massive amount of cooling you need. And hopefully they're going to be working on a solution, but it's a conversation that's being had out there about how do you then take the output of heat and transform that into the power needed to cool, and how do you query the quantum computing and AI basically for solutions first.
A quote that I heard was, "The greenest mile you can travel is virtually." And again, the VR technology and AR is typically not is not even close to the servers usage for AI and these quantum computers. It is server draw, and it's not efficient. So as soon as we can get viable and sustainable sources for electricity, possibly fusion in the near future. But the irony is, like, we most likely need to use the AI to solve these more crushing problems.
Right.
So,
I will say for us as a business practice, when we looked at what servers we were going to put all of our content on, and we're streaming content, so every avatar is pinging to the server and bringing the content down. We looked at which servers were green, which servers had the least impact on the environment before we put our content up there. And then we also, because we're a US company, we needed to have our content served in the US and the data. So that was all something that we looked at. And I'm also a member of the XRA, the XR Association, which is a DC lobbying organization that is constantly keeping track of the lawmakers and the regulations and what they're doing there. And I'm happy to say, and also sad to say, that the EU is so far ahead in regards to requiring companies that are building data centers to build with green solutions. In the US, it is an option and it is encouraged. In the EU, it is now required. So there's a lot of other regulations around XR that the EU is doing that hopefully the US will adopt.
Cool.
let's put the
Thanks,
pressure.
guys.
Let's put the pressure on.
Let's put the pressure on them.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about you, but I could ask these guys questions forever. I'd like to do two things before we close. Invite you to do a couple of things. Under the tree outside over there, Florina and Salvador are somewhere, and they're going to be conducting an energy release ceremony out there. It's going to take about 35 or 40 minutes, and Minari will be here entertaining.